What's going on, everybody? My name is Toef, and today I'm going to be coming at you with my guide to the Bartali's Adventure Guide. This is a new quest chain that was released on Black Desert Online on the NA and EU servers on February 8th, and completion of this quest chain rewards many permanent stats to all characters in your family, including 1 sheet AP, among other things. This video will be covering the first 4 chapters of this, and the other 4 will be covered in a later video. Completion of these 4 chapters gives 24 maximum health, 6 weight, 20 stamina, 1 accuracy, 2 evasion, 1 DP, and 1 inventory slot to all characters on your family. You must be at least level 51 and have completed all the main quests up to the Calpheon region to start this quest chain. So before we get started, here the items you'll be needing are a fishing rod, a tanning knife which can be bought from a nearby vendor at the time it is required, so you can just buy a cheap one and bring a little bit of silver with you, which you'll be needing anyways, a butcher's knife, a fluid collector, a hoe, a hunting matchlock, about 20k silver coins on you, a little bit less is fine, a witch's earring, a Marie summon scroll which can be obtained from your weekly Black Spirit quests, and can also be obtained through loyalties if you've already done one of those for this week, and 2 to 5 empty bottles. I don't see any reason not to bring 5, just in case you get really unlucky with procs. As we go through each chapter, I'll be reminding you about the items you need at the time. Note that the Marie summon scroll can be someone else's summon scroll if a friend of yours is doing this as well, or if someone else is just running the boss. One last thing before we get started. Throughout this guide, I'll be referring to Part 1, Part 2, Part 3, etc. as the page numbers in the relevant chapter that I'm talking about of the journal. For example, in the first chapter, I'll be going over Part 2 first, and then I'll be going over Part 1 and Part 3. I'm still saying them in relevance to their page number, so you may follow along in game in case you're stuck on a certain one, or if you're only missing a certain page, you can skip to where you hear me say that part. I'm not going to be including them in order of the pages, however, though, as oftentimes, let's say Part 1, 3, and 7 are very close to each other, I don't feel it would make good sense to order the video in such a way that I am going to be running all over the place and have your characters scramble to follow along. In doing this method, it'll be a much cleaner run if you have an empty book and you'll be going from start to finish. To start the quest chain, go to your Black Spirit, go to Quests under Main, and you'll see Adventure Log Traces of an Adventurer. Turning this quest in will give you the book to Chapter 1. Note that there are 8 chapters. The first chapter requires you to defeat a Cyclops, fish a Grunt, and gain knowledge on a Earthroot Nymph. This chapter rewards a total of 6 maximum health and 5 maximum stamina to your entire family. Note that all of these chapters give family ride rewards, and I will not be specifying that from now on. The second part of the first chapter, Fish a Grunt, can be done on Velia Beach, on the hotspot where you'll see a lot of players commonly fishing, right here. It is right here on the map, just west of Velia. The first part of the first chapter, To Kill a Cyclops, can be completed down south near Creoville, on the map as you see here. Note that the third part can also be completed down here, and I recommend doing both parts whilst you're here. It is as simple as finding a Cyclops and going up and killing it. The third part of the first chapter, To Gain Knowledge on the Earthroot Nymph, if I'm saying that correctly, can be done in the cave just south of Creoville, simply by killing Earthroot Nymphs over and over. The cave is along the river and to the south. The entrance is right here. Note that once you enter, you have to climb up rocks to the left to get into an area where you can actually fight the nymphs. After you have completed all of these, you can get a Black Spirit quest giving you the second chapter of the adventure log. Once you're done with the chapter, make sure you claim every reward, and then talk to your Black Spirit for the next book. Note that once you have completed a chapter, you may simply destroy the book. As you can see here, my stats are not affected and the permanent stats I gained are not removed. If you do manage to lose one of these books or forget to claim the reward before you sell it, an NPC named Clara Siciliano, if that's how you pronounce that, in Calpheon, the bookseller, will sell you copies in case you lose them. The second chapter consists of 7 steps and requires a tanning knife, a butcher knife, a hunting matchlock, and about 20,000 silver coins. You do not actually need a tanning knife or a butcher knife, as there is a material vendor very close to where you require the items, so just bringing some extra silver coins will suffice for that as well. You will receive 4 maximum weight, 6 health, 1 accuracy, 5 stamina, and 1 inventory slot for completing this chapter. The first part of the second chapter requires you to kill and skin, and by skin they actually mean butcher, an elk near Bear. Here I am, just northeast of Bear, and here are the elk, so just quickly kill one, equip a butcher knife, and gather the meat. The fourth part of the second chapter requires you to give a tanning knife to Like Bear, the name is, the commander of Bear, obviously here in Bear. So you just walk up, talk to him, and hand over a tanning knife. I personally bought an old tanning knife from the material vendor about 10 steps away for this. He can be found right north here. His name is Indri. The fifth part of the second chapter requires us to use a Trent trade item and investigate it. So we come here to the Trent trader, we hit trade, and we take the first item we see here, the carpentry tool, we hit take 1, Go down here and hit purchase all, and I hit no because I do not want to place the item on my horse. Yes to put it in my inventory. Close out of that. Go to my inventory and right click the carpentry tool. The sixth part of the second chapter says to fill the tree and forest with the sound of firewood. During this recording I was actually trying to figure out what to do live, but all you have to do is kill 20 mobs in the tree and forests. If this isn't ticking up at the top left as you kill mobs for some reason, I'd recommend trying to go to a different area in the forest or relogging. The seventh part of the second chapter can be found where I'm standing here, east of the tree and forest map marker. It's a giant stump you have to walk on top of and press R to investigate. The third part of the Chapter 2 adventure guide requires you to hunt a freshwater crocodile with a matchlock and skin it for its crocodile meat. This is easiest to be done at Lake Kaya on one of these small islands. You'll find that the crocodiles swim around here in circles. All you have to do is walk up to one, equip a matchlock, shoot it up. Once it is killed, you have to go into the water and jump onto its back and climb on top of it to butcher it. The second part of the second chapter, and final one if you've been following this guide, is to hunt a giant brown bear with a matchlock. This can be done on Balanos Mountains, and for reference, over here is Chucklori, and over down south is the Karanda spawn, and northeast is Olvia. All you have to do is equip your matchlock, walk up to the bear, and shoot it up. Chapter 3 consists of 5 steps, and requires a witch's earring, a clean one that is, and a Hexe Marie summon scroll which can be obtained from your weekly Black Spirit quests or as with loyalties. The rewards for Chapter 3 consist of 6 max health, 2 weight, 1 DP, and 5 stamina. The first part of the third chapter requires you to kill 10 crows, and the fifth part of the third chapter requires you to kill 20 skeletons. Note that only the skeletons whose name is simply skeleton count. Skeleton archer, skeleton wolf, etc. will not. Goodness. Okay, those crows took forever. There's probably a better location for this, however. There are 3 or 4 of them along the road here, so you can get it done if you just wait for a couple respawns. The third part of the third chapter requires you to use a Frightening Witch Scroll and kill the boss that spawns from it. This can be obtained through your weekly Black Spirit quests or your loyalties. Note that someone else's scroll can be used here and you will still receive full credit if you leech the scroll. The second part of the third chapter requires you to search the building cursed by the witch, which simply requires you to interact with the node manager at the witch's chapel. Note that this is simply a knowledge, and for a lot of you this will already be completed with no further steps necessary. The fourth part of the third chapter, and final one if you're following this guide, is to simply put on a witch's earring. This has to be a base item, and if you just right click it, that's it, it completes the quest. The fourth chapter consists of 4 parts requiring an empty bottle, namely up to 5 empty bottles, a fluid collector, and a hoe. This will reward you with 6 maximum health, 5 stamina, and 2 evasion. As a quick note, the hoe is actually optional, but it does speed this process up a little bit. The first page of the fourth chapter requires you to gather 5 silver azaleas. This can be done almost anywhere in the world. As I was near the Naga Hill near Glitch here, I decided to grab the wild herbs around here. But there are wild herbs around just about any place in the map. There's a ton around Florin as well, or wherever you may be, you'll probably be able to find some. Note that I wouldn't just throw these herbs away, as you'll be needing some of them for Chapter 5. The second part of Chapter 4 requires you to gather river water and process it into distilled water. You'll need 5 distilled water in total, which should take anywhere between 2 to 5 river water. As we were already near Heidel, I chose the material vendor to buy empty bottles from as the Heidel one, who is on the map right here. His name is Flaviano. I am now gathering river water from the river near Heidel, and to get distilled water, you have to have river water, hit L, go to heating, and heat the water into distilled. There we go, 5 distilled water. The third part of Chapter 4 requires you to gain a crystallized blood from gathering blood from mobs with a fluid collector. Note that I'm doing this at the Fox's northwest tier of Heidel, and it is apparently impossible to get a crystallized blood, by the way. Holy shit. Can I get it from this one? Nope. Okay. Haha, there it is, crystallized blood. The fourth and final part of the fourth chapter requires you to gather ogre blood. This requires you to kill an ogre, which can be found south of the Calpheon Castle West Forest or anywhere north of Toberia's cabin nodes on the map. Both of these are west of Calpheon. All you have to do is kill the ogre and gather the blood with the fluid collector. That's going to be it for this video, guys. I'm sorry this guide's coming out so late. Chapters 5 through 8 will be coming in a video here in the near future, as well as 9 and 10 once I get to them. This is actually about my 20th take trying to make this video. My editing program decided to shit itself, so little technical difficulties is why I'm getting it out to you guys late. But I hope this helped somebody out, as I'm sure there's still some people that need to do this content. If you liked this video, do please leave it a like, and if you have any feedback on the way this is oriented or anything about the Bartali's Adventure Guide, do please leave it below in the comments. And if you'd like to see future content from me or the other parts of these guides, then do please subscribe. Besides that, guys, it's Toef here, and I hope you guys have a great day. Peace.